So name.
My name is Daniel Ramirez. I'm from a small town called. I was born in a small town named Indio, Indo, not India, Indio. It's in Southern California. It's near a small city named Palm Springs. Most people have heard of that. It's not as nice as people think it is. And I actually grew up in the city surrounding Palm Springs called Desert Hot Springs, Cathedral City, and Moreno Valley. So I moved throughout those three cities from time to time throughout my years.
Cool. Your age?
I'm currently 20 years old. I'm just a few months away from 21, but seems so close, but also seems so far at the same time.
I'm too far. What's your work and occupation?
I'm currently employed at Safeway Incorporated, which is the nearby grocery store here on West Sacramento. I am currently holding the position as a checker, and I'm currently being identified and in the process of becoming the liquor manager there at that work.
Nice, nice. And do you go to Chico State?
Yes, I'm currently a third year here at Chico State. I've been here since my freshman year, so I'm not a transfer. I came from high school in Moreno Valley, also from Southern California, so it was kind of a big transition, a big change that I had to endure. But like most others here at Chico State, it wasn't a very unwelcoming one.
It's good to hear. What's your parents' native language?
Both my parents, well, my mom, her language is they both understand English as their first language. Well, my mom's first language is English, but my dad, his is Spanish. They're both Mexican, of Mexican descent and Mexican bloodline. But my dad, he was actually born in Mexico, so he has more of the fluency and he has more of that deeper tradition and values of the Mexican lifestyle for that reason.
Cool. Do you speak Spanish too?
Unfortunately, I do not. My parents when I was younger, they used their advantage of knowing another language as their way of determining what type of punishments they were going to give us or how they would talk bad about other people in the car. They utilized that as their way of doing that without making it affect us when we were children. So it also affected our ability of understanding Spanish as we got older. My brother and sister have come to learn it because they decided to go out of their way to learn it, but me personally never really did that extra interest. Yeah.
I gotta teach you one day.
I've had roommates try to teach me since my freshman year. They've done everything they could. The closest that they've gone is is to get me to accept hearing Spanish music, because before I used to not even want to hear Spanish music because I didn't want to be confused. But now I can.
Now you even
I
see
can
it.
now I can yeah now I can sit through a song and sometimes sing along with it without feeling like, okay, what's going on here. But yeah.
What's your parents' place of birth and upbringing?
As I stated before, my dad, he was born in Puebla, Mexico. And then when he was about 2 years old, 3 years old, his family moved him here to the United States, to California, to the desert, which is around Palm Springs area. And from there, that's where he basically was raised and lived the rest of his life. My mom, she was born in the same area, so in Indio, and her family is from Texas and from Mexico, so that's where she's from.
That's cool. Have you ever visited your dad's hometown?
No, I don't go. I have never been really deep into Mexico. The closest I've been is Guatemala, and that's about it. I think yeah, that's the closest I've been to Mexico. Well, that's the deepest I've gone into Mexico. And my mom's hometown, I've never really gone to Texas because that's more of where her dad's side of the family's at, and my grandma's side of the family proportionally. But generally, my family just considers ourselves natives and born from the desert in Southern California, because that's basically where my parents spent most of their childhood years and then raised most of us kids.
That's cool. What's your parents' occupation?
My dad's currently a chef. He's a head chef at Romano's Macaroni Grill down in Southern California. It's a restaurant chain. And my mom, she's currently unemployed. She's a stay-at-home mom. Well, she's not technically unemployed. She actually is the caregiver to my grandfather, who suffers from dementia. So that's her full-time job at the moment. And she used to be a receptionist for an OBGYN office.
That's good. So, why don't you tell us a funny or touching event from your childhood? Anything you want to share?
Um, a lot of my funny moments from my childhood wouldn't really be considered funny to other people when they hear it. They'll probably be like, in what world is that funny? To me, it's just because for some reason when things go wrong, I find humor in it. That's the only way I get through things. And so when I was younger, My cousins and I were playing, and we were playing hide and go seek, and my cousins and I were decided to watch, jump off a couch, and when I was jumping off the couch, my brother pushed me, and when he pushed me, I fell and I broke my arm.
Oh my gosh.
And even though it hurt, I till this day, for some reason, just the idea, my cousins and I still laugh till this day. I mean, when I first was old enough to realize what happened, it wasn't funny, but as the years went on and I broke more bones, I just started laughing about it because I just got used to it. But yeah, those will probably be my childhood. My funny childhood memories just be when I was with my family and my cousins. I'm really close to my cousins. There's about 24 of us. My grandma, my grandparents were really busy, and so were their kids. So there's a lot of us, and
Big
so
family.
yeah, big family, but comes with a lot of stories and a lot of fun times, and not so fun times, but at the end, that's what makes me me.
So, I want to hear just about your favorite holiday, any traditions or food you and your family have together.
One of my favorite holidays would probably be Thanksgiving, not just because I'm fat and I like to eat, but also because just some of the traditions that my family and I have. We come from a neutral Christianity background, so we do take a lot of pride within a lot of certain holidays, and we go beyond just the normal meanings of them. So we really do try to give thanks, not just for what we have, but also give other people to have something to be thankful for. So when I was still living back home, one of the biggest things that we used to do as a family is go and feed the homeless on Thanksgiving Day. My parents are pastors, so that's one of the things that they would go and do is we would do outreaches and feed the homeless in the morning for Thanksgiving, and then we would spend time as a family from lunch and dinner. One of the fun things about it was that it generally was around the time that our favorite football teams would play against each other, so it's usually every other year or so. My mom, all the girls in the family, most of them are Cowboys fans, and then all the men in our family are Raiders fans. So whenever we have that opportunity to have those two teams go against each other on Thanksgiving, it becomes a big family little tradition where we go and have a bunch of games and we play a bunch of team games, and then in the end we see who's going to be the sore losers at the end. And it's pretty fun because generally at the end of the thing we like
Guys arguing and yelling
yeah
at each
we
other.
yell we and the game literally during Thanksgiving dinner will be split, like nobody sits close to each other, like not even the married people, because it's just like Cowboys and Raiders on one side and that's about it. We've had moments where like my family, like I said, my family, there's a lot of us, so we're all really crazy, so we decided to be sore when my cousin decided to be a sore loser one time, and he happened to get the pie and throw it at my other cousin, and we had a big pie fight, and then my mom got mad, so then she started throwing water at us, then we turned it into a water fight, and then it kind of ruined the inside of the house a little bit, but it was worth it, and it was memories that we cherish now, and not necessarily the house that we cherish, but the memories that come with it.
That's fun. What about any favorite food during that holiday? You have anything?
Unfortunately, we don't eat my favorite foods during that holiday. I'm not a big fan of ham and turkey, especially when it comes to oven roasted ham and turkey. But yeah, I'm Mexican. I like the fat, greasy, the birria. I like the carne asada. I like all that. But I also have my other Latin roots, which are like Italian. I'm not Italian. I wish I was Italian, but I love Italian food. So if I could get my way, I would eat Italian food for Thanksgiving. I don't see why not. It's pasta. It's filling. It goes a long way. It makes sense, but not to anybody else apparently. But as for Thanksgiving dinner food, my favorite thing would just probably be the desserts. If I'm gonna be completely honest, like I said, I'm fat. I'm fat. When I eat, I still eat 3 plates of the stuffing and the turkey and the gravy and mashed potatoes, and that's literally my entire plate. I do not go for the vegetables, and I do not go. Yes, I am thankful that we have the vegetables, but I will not be thankful enough to eat them. Mainly because I don't want to be that wasteful person on Thanksgiving. But I do go for the stuffing stuff. But at the end of the day, my main favorite portion is the desserts.
That's the best part right there.
Exactly. You know, at the end of the day, I'd rather die happy and full and with a high blood pressure than to die just sad and miserable.
With those vegetables.
With all those vegetables, exactly. Not even full.
So, tell us a subject you really feel strongly about. It could be anything political, social, just anything you really feel strongly about.
Generally, I'm a neutral person, as in I don't feel strong until I find a reason to feel strong. But one of the things I have throughout the years felt strong about is just a lot of civil rights, not necessarily I'm not a big activist, but I do believe in that at the end of the day, we all have fundamental rights that as a society, we all relinquish some of our rights. That's part of the social contract theory that we have, where we relinquish some of our rights so we can receive protections of our other rights that we find fundamental, and we find them necessary to call them even rights. For that reason, I also believe that it's, as a society, as citizens, and as Adults, we have that responsibility to respect others' rights and do everything that we can just the way that we want our rights to be respected and to be fully given to us and taken into account. The same thing we should do for others. And sadly, in the world that we live in, that's not necessarily the case. We have a lot of people who decide to take other people's lives into their own hands. We have government officials who decide not to do what is necessary for both the country or for a certain group within that country. We have a lot of selfish people within this world, sadly, and I wish we could change it, and unfortunately we can't. But the one thing that we can't change is the system in which we live in. And the system that we live in is not perfect. There will never be a perfect system, but the one thing that we can strive to do is try to attain perfectionism with the way that we actually act upon that system. So the system may not be perfect, but the way that we act and the way that we personally legislate that system is what we can at least strive to make a little bit more perfect. So the legislatures who are in charge of certain laws within that's what I feel is their responsibility, as well as us as citizens, abiding by those laws to the best of our ability, but also understanding to what extent we need to, and to understanding what extent to where we are citizens who think for ourselves, and we also allow people to think for us. So that's what I believe strongly for, is just a sense of self-responsibility and morale, and understanding that we all share that same.
Totally agree with you. All right. Tell us a story about a friend or a relative, just anything you want to share. It could be funny, personal, happy, not have anything you want.
That one's a little bit harder. I guess I'll just talk about you, since you're the one that's interviewing me. You're my roommate. You're my friend. We've known each other since my senior year, your sophomore year. So we're going on 4 years. We've been friends, and it's definitely been a great friendship that I've had with you. I've shared a lot of memories with you, from very fond ones to sadly even non-fond ones. But at the end of the day, one thing that I can say about our friendship, and even with you, is that there's strength within it. There's a lot of reliability that I both feel that we both have with each other. A sense of respect that we have for each other, but also a sense of love that we have for each other, not just as friends, but as roommates and as family. When we first met, we were just teammates. We were some people who we saw each other every day, and it not forced us, but it allowed us to become friends. And a lot of people, when you're in high school, tell each other, oh, when you get out of high school, you're not going to talk to half the people that you know. And a lot of people told me, you're definitely not going to talk to anybody who's still in high school when you leave high school. And for us, that was the case. You were 2 years behind me, so when I left for college, I had only known you for a few months. Despite that, you showed how grown you were as a friend, and how you wanted to continue to be a friend with me and continue communication, despite me moving 9 hours away. And I showed that same sense of respect, and thankfully we've kept that same sense of respect and that same sense of care for our friendship and for each other to continue to have our friendship that we have now. One of the biggest things that I do find is that I'm constantly in a good mood around you. Even when we're upset, even one of us wants to go off on somebody, or we're just stressed about a day that we have, we all go through stuff. And at the end of the day, I know that at least I have you by my side and you have me, and it might not make things a lot easier, but it makes me feel a little bit more at peace with the situations that I go through, is knowing that I have a certain sense of support around me. And even when I feel like that support isn't there, I always know that it truly is there. And that's really what matters when you have friends and family, is that they be there for you the way that you want to be there for them, and vice versa, that I be there for you is the way that I want you to be there for me. And I feel like as friends, we've done that for each other, and we've even done beyond that for each other. At some points, I know you've been a better friend to me than I have to you, and at some points, I've been a better friend to you than you have to me. But that comes with the territory of being true friends, and that's what I personally would say that I truly am thankful for. Is having a friend like you, and not just you, but also the other roommates that we have in this house. But just not being able just to understand that we're friends, but at some sense we've actually become family. And yeah, and it's nice to say, because a lot of people, especially in college, they say, oh, this is my family, and they're very quick to be like, oh, this is my new sister, and I lived with them for a semester. But despite only living together, for this being our first year living together, we've known each other for years beyond that. And this is what led us to want to live together. And even despite not having the best situations all the time, with the fact that we've gone to push through that, and we've even become even stronger through it, is what I believe is what allows us to be true friends. And I believe is why I truly call you family.
Yeah, I can totally agree. I feel the same way, honestly. I really do. That's family. All right, so one last question. Is there any, favorite joke or poem or hymn or prayer that you want to share and, leave us with?
I I don't really have a joke. I'm not that funny of a person. I'm more of a situational funny person, and I can't explain a situation in which I would be funny. But one thing I would leave everybody with is just to remember at the end of the day, we all fall. We're all students. I know that most of the people who are watching this are probably going to be students, whether they're freshmen, juniors, sophomores, or seniors, or even a fifth year. All power to you. Proud of you. I'm gonna be a fifth year. No, there's no judgment. But at the end of the day, we're all students. We all make mistakes, and we're none of us are perfect. And that's one thing that we have to understand is that we're not perfect. The situations that we face are not perfect, and the things that we go through are not perfect. And we're never gonna have the best outlook and the best perspective on things. But the one thing that we have to remember is just to always be positive in the best sense that we can. That doesn't necessarily be where you have to smile through everything in order to make it. And everybody says smile, fake it to make it. That's not true. You can fake it to make it all you want, but at the end of the day, you lie to yourself so much that when it's necessary for you to no longer fake it, you're not gonna know what's the truth and what's not. At the end of the day, all I suggest to everybody is remember your reality, remember who you truly are, and stick to that. If you stick to who you truly are, you'll be who you want to be eventually. If you know that you're a hard worker, be a hard worker when you don't want to work hard. If you work hard at your job, then why not work hard in school? It's the same thing. At the end of the day, you're here for a reason, and make it your reason. You make your own destiny, no one else does. You make your own happiness, no one else does. So it's time that we all start getting up and we don't sit in our sorrow, and we do what's necessary. And I know that everybody who's here at Chico State has that capability. It's just a matter of sitting down, looking deep into yourself, looking in the mirror, and actually unlocking that capability that you have. And believing that you have that capability, and especially in the world that we live in, it's very easy to lose the faith that you have in yourself and in society. But once you lose that faith, doesn't mean it's completely gone. You can still reach for it. It's just a matter of you getting that faith back, you looking for that hope again. It's not going to be easy. You're going to want to give up. We're always going to want to give up. But it's just a matter of when you fall, get back up. When you fall back again, get back up again. Don't stay down. That's all that you can really ask for. If you never stay down, if you never give up, then at that point you're still successful. You're not a failure if you never stop fighting. But the day that you actually decide to give up and you don't get back up, now at that point you can call yourself a failure. Until then, yeah, things might not be perfect and you might not get the way you want it, but if you don't stay down, you're not a failure, you're succeeding.
That was some good advice. Even I'm going to take that into consideration. But thank you, Daniel, for letting me interview you.
You're welcome.
And I hope you had fun.
Thank you.